For the past 30 plus years, if you were looking for a compact mainstream SUV for your family, you were looking at a Toyota RAV4. Well, for 2026, the company has finally pulled the covers over the all-new 8th generation, and today we're here just outside their headquarters in Plano, Texas, because we're finally getting a chance to see this vehicle in the sheet metal, so let's go ahead and take a detailed first look. Now, before we start talking about the all-new styling direction for the 2026 RAV4, let me first remind you guys what's going on underneath the hood. Now, just like the all-new Camry, Toyota is going all in on hybrid technology because there is no more base gas engine for any of the RAV4s. They all basically come electrified, which doesn't surprise me because about over 50% of people actually chose the hybrid powertrain. This model that we're showing you here is the new performance flagship. It's called the RAV4 GR Sport, which means it only comes with the plug-in hybrid powertrain, which combines a 2.5-liter four-cylinder with direct injection, up to 3 electric motors, standard all-wheel drive, and Toyota says this model gets up to 320 horsepower. So that's an increase of about 18 horsepower versus the previous generation. Toyota also says they've increased the battery size by about 20%, so now you should be able to do around 50 miles of electric-only range. It all goes out through an eCVT. This vehicle can also tow more, up to 3,500 pounds. Toyota wasn't ready to talk about what the curb weight figures are or the 0 to 60 performance, but I'm really happy to see that. If you guys want to also check out our separate review on the Limited, we'll talk about the hybrid powertrain there, because the base hybrid also gets up to 236 horsepower, so it gets more power across the board. But let's go ahead and close up this hood here and talk about the rest of the exterior styling for this vehicle, because as you can see, the front fascia looks very different versus the previous generation. Toyota has definitely gone with a much more bolder look here. The grille has been enlarged. You have their new signature hammerhead headlights here, which have an LED projector. You have LED daytime running lights, LED turn signals. There's also this kind of LED accent light that goes along the lower fascia, and you can see this particular color on the GR Sport is exclusive to this trim. It's called Supersonic Red with the black roof. We've seen this color before, but I have to say the look of this car is very bold, and it also kind of brings it in line with the rest of the electrified family that you see within Toyota. Now, looking at the rest of the side profile, as you can see, we are here at the reveal of this car, so the energy in the room is a little crazy, but the overall dimensions of this vehicle actually haven't changed. It rides on the same 105.9-inch wheelbase. The overall length of this model here is around 181.8 inches long. It's actually about an inch longer because of the front and rear bumpers. Toyota says the width is also a little bit wider. This is about an inch wider at 75.4 inches wide, but this is actually around the same size as the previous generation, so I appreciate that, and that's because Toyota says this is built on the same TNGA-K architecture, but it has been strengthened and redesigned to accommodate, again, the new chassis. Now, looking at the wheels, these are the unique 20-inch wheels that you get with the GR Sport trim. You can see they kind of have like this interesting two-tone design where it's a double 5-spoke look. You can see the GR Sport also includes red painted brake calipers, larger disc brakes, and Toyota says that GR, their racing division, actually did modify the suspension and the steering to make this the best handling RAV4 ever. And like I said earlier, this model only comes with the plug-in hybrid powertrain, and it also only comes as a plug-in hybrid, which again is going to make this thing a lot more powerful. Now, looking at the rest of the profile, you can see the black roof is certainly a nice touch. There's a panoramic sunroof, and check out the rear of this vehicle, guys. There's definitely a really interesting design here. You have this like spoiler that kind of sticks out that Toyota says does actually affect the aerodynamics. The rear design is certainly very different. In fact, I see hints of the previous generation Nissan Rogue a little bit. I actually think I may prefer the previous generation model, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the look. As you can see, with the GR Sport, you certainly get the big wing at the back. You have this really interesting design for the LED taillights. There's the prerequisite badging here. It has their new Beyond Zero badge here with the BHAV badge with all-wheel drive, of course. There's also a GR Sport badge. This is the first time we're seeing a GR Sport in the RAV4. They've offered that in the previous generation in other markets, but it never came to the US. You also have a unique rear bumper here. I would have liked to see Toyota do like a dual exhaust system here, but I appreciate that, again, this model has a very unique look to it. Again, if you want to see our review on the Limited and the Woodland, we're actually going to post a separate video sometime tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But in terms of the cargo space for this vehicle, it's just, it won't open. I don't know, it won't open. He's like trying to take a picture. Ooh, people are getting mad. People are getting mad. It's like All right, so got the cargo area opened. This is where Toyota didn't actually talk about the cargo figures just yet. However, the old RAV4 had around 38 cubic feet of storage space, but it's expanded to around 69 cubic feet of space. As you can see, I don't have the final figures just yet, but if you look underneath here, there is a temporary spare tire on this trim with a little bit of underfloor storage, along with some storage off to the side over there. But overall, because the dimensions of this vehicle haven't changed, I wouldn't be surprised to see it pretty similar to the previous 5th generation. All right, moving on to the interior of the all-new 6th generation, or I'm sorry, 8th generation Toyota RAV4. Let me go ahead and get inside. As you can see, we are here at the reveal, and literally the floor is flooded with media and also dealers. So I'm trying to kind of work my way in to show you guys this vehicle from the first look. But I have to say, this GR Sports interior certainly looks very different. Toyota is obviously trying to minimalize the interior design, bring it more modern technology, but also intuitive technology. You can see this seat color material, as you can see, is included with the GR Sport. It has kind of like a mixture of their soft text with the ultra suede. These seats are also heated and ventilated. They adjust, I believe, in 14 different ways or 12 different ways for the driver. For the passenger side here is actually a manual seat, which actually surprised me. I'm suspecting the limited trim will probably have the power seat option. You can see the GR also has its unique badging here that's embossed on the actual seat. With the contrast red piping and stitching as well. And then overall, you can see on the door panel material, there's a slightly soft touch injection molded plastic here, and then more of that kind of soft text material on the door panel here. The door handles themselves have a kind of a gray painted plastic, and then you have Toyota's latest switchgear, of course, with a one-touch up-down for all 4 windows, which is definitely a nice touch. And then looking at the rest of the dashboard material, first of all, I'm looking at the screens. The upper trims will have a new 12.9-inch infotainment display with their latest infotainment system software, and then all trims now get a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. So that's an upgrade versus the previous generation, which the lower trims had like a combination of a digital and analog. The dashboard material here, I have to say, guys, the material on the dash is pretty cheap. Now, this is a really early prototype model, but I'm not liking the grading material. It's all hard touch plastic, but down here, as you can see, it has the same soft text that's from the doors kind of carried over here. On the lower portion here of the glove box, it's hard touch plastic. The vents are a traditional vent here. You can see your drive mode selectors here. You can cycle between an auto EV and a hybrid mode. You have your trail and snow and normal modes over here. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, and you also have a wireless phone charging pad here. It looks like you only have 1, however, additional storage over here. Now, this trim gets an actual shifter. Other trims may actually have an electronic shifter. It just depends on which one you go with. But you can see the rest of the center console area has some flat plastic materials, which I appreciate how Toyota didn't go with like a glossy black, because that will kind of show fingerprints and scratches pretty easily. And then if you look here, you can see the center console area actually has a relatively deep storage with USB-C charging ports. This also opens up in 2 different ways. This is also slightly padded, but keep in mind, this is a really early prototype that we're showing you. So some of the materials and finishes that you see here may not be, full production. The steering wheel, as you can see, is also new. It offers a manual tilt and telescoping adjustment. This trim also includes paddle shifters, which is kind of strange to me because it's technically an eCVT. But I like the GR badging here. I would have liked to see perhaps a flat bottom design, but you have some contrast red stitching, of course. And then above me here, this model is lacking a sunroof. I'm not entirely sure if a panel roof will be available on this trim, but you do have, of course, your ambient LED lighting, kind of a good amount of headroom space. But overall, it certainly isn't the most luxurious cabin, but it's functional. It has their latest technology, of course. It has some great storage options, and the seats, I have to say, are pretty comfortable and supportive. But let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area. I can show you guys what that's like. Excuse us, guys, 1 second.
We don't talk about money.
Now, once you move into the backseat area, you can see the suede and like soft text carries over back here, and the seats themselves, they do actually offer a slight recline function. If you fold down the seat, you can see it kind of creates that flat low floor. Again, I don't have final cargo figures just yet, but this is pretty comparable to the previous generation RAV4. As I get back here, you can see the space is pretty similar again to the previous generation. The old model had around 38 inches of legroom. This feels pretty much like the same to me. Now the floor is not completely flat here in the center. You do have your 2 quick charging USB-Cs along with your actual air vents back here, along with 2 storage cubbies. Door panel materials are pretty similar to the front seat area. You have a soft touch injection molded plastic, some more of that soft text here, padded leather along with your one touch up down for the windows. And then you can see the headroom space is actually pretty generous. Now, granted, this model doesn't have a sunroof, but I imagine if you guys have the sunroof, it'll take up a little bit more space. If I fold this down, you can see there's an armrest with 2 cup holders. So again, if you guys are coming from the previous generation RAV4, this should feel pretty similar, but keep in mind the limited trim should have more luxury touches that the GR Sport is lacking. All right, so we switched over to the limited trim here, and as you can see, this actually has a different seat material, so not quite as aggressive as what we saw on the GR Sport, but it has this interesting combination where there's a little bit of suede here with the perforated leather. The leather material in this model feels a little bit more luxurious, but it's still a soft text. There's no genuine leather, but as you can see, redesigned seats, and on the limited trim, you also get a different steering wheel, but the same infotainment displays with the 12.9-inch here in the center. The base cars will have a 10.5-inch display, but again, all of them will have the fully digital 12.3-inch cluster. Now, above me here, you can see there's that big panoramic sunroof, which actually goes into the backseat area. You can also open it up to vent air. It certainly does eat into the the headroom space a little bit, but I have to say this interior on this limited trim, material quality still feels pretty much the same. Soft touch here. You have that soft text that carries over from the doors onto this panel, but this right here, guys, I'm not really a fan of how cheap that is. Now I will say you're not going to really touch this area very much. There's also storage here, so at least Toyota pretty much got the touch points right. However, if you look over here, you can see the Limited has an actual electronic shifter. This is one of the few trims to get that electronic shifter. It certainly helps to modernize the look of the center console, although for me personally, I prefer a traditional gear lever, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys prefer. This trim is also lacking paddle shifters, which is kind of, what I expected. This is a hybrid vehicle. It has an eCVT. I wouldn't expect most customers to use that, but overall, this is certainly a much more, luxurious feel in terms of the touch points, but it doesn't have any wood trim here. That's again why you would go to a Lexus to get a slightly nicer, more luxurious cabin. Now, the Toyota RAV4 was literally the best-selling passenger car in the US that wasn't a pickup truck, because last year, Toyota managed to do around 475,000 units in the US alone. Now, over 50% of those sales were actually the hybrids, so with this new 8th generation, I wouldn't be surprised to see Toyota crack the 500,000 unit mark, because this model here basically has more of what we expect from this brand. I mean, Toyota has definitely improved the range, they've improved the horsepower, they've improved the technology in this vehicle, and while the interior may not feel quite as luxurious as some of its competitors, it is certainly utilitarian. It has enough space for most people, and I think it's also going to do extremely well, especially if you guys want to get a family SUV that has some of the best-in-class range and fuel efficiency. Now, sadly, I don't have final pricing information just yet. Toyota basically said these are going to be in dealerships by the end of this year. I'm thinking probably October or November, and if we were going to speculate about the pricing, the current generation RAV4 hybrid starts at around $32,000. The base version of the 2025 model is like $28,000, but because the base model is gone, I would expect this car to start at around $30,000-ish bucks. The fully loaded GR Sport, however, is probably going to be over $50,000, because remember, that comes standard with the plug-in hybrid powertrain. But for Redline Reviews here at Toyota's headquarters in Plano, Texas, I'm Sophian Bay.